the last 2-minute report comes out and it says Giannis had 2 10-second violations. I know he's a creature of habit. Do you approach that to say, hey, okay, this is being called out retroactively now? Or do you say, all right, if it happens in game, we'll address it. Until then, we're just going to keep it pushing? I think
yeah, no, I mean, he's got his routine. It's been a big topic of conversation. I get it. I understand it. I think he's in a good place. I just always say we want him getting the free throw line. We want him attacking. The more he gets there, the better. This conversation and debate's been going on for a long time, and he's well aware, and he's in a good place.
I had a different one, but I guess I kind of like to follow up on that. I mean, it's the rules in the rule book. At the same time, like in baseball, for instance, if a pitcher has a balk in his move every time, they don't call it because he does it every time. Giannis does this every time, but it's in the rule book. Should they enforce the rule?
At the end of the day, I think I'd like to, if there's any way this could be lessened, that would be awesome, but I'm sure it won't be. It's like if you got out a stop clock on every time somebody was in the paint for offensive 3 seconds. I guarantee you, any type of timing mechanism is something that happens on a pretty regular basis. If you took a clock on an out-of-bounds play, how many times it may take more than 5 seconds? And if they wanted to put a stopwatch on it, it's just an unfair thing to the referees. It's an unfair thing to, I think, a lot. It's all things that are timing. The game isn't done with a stop clock. And we wouldn't want that for 3 seconds. We wouldn't want that for out of bounds. The rules are the rules, just like they are for everything else. I think there's a lot of respect for the rules, a lot of respect for what the referees have to do, what the league has to do, and what Giannis has to do. It's not that complicated. So he's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to shoot them. We're kind of on the side that hope he makes them. And it's kind of end of story.
Jim, just real quick, same starters for tonight?
Yes.
The small lineup when Pat is in, during the year, I mean, some of it had to do with injury, and I understand that. They only played a handful of minutes, far more against Brooklyn, I guess. Have you seen that group with Pat in, like their communication defensively, like the rebounding, where some guys want to maybe chest up and face up and somebody's got to go get the ball? Like, how have you seen them kind of come together, Drew, PJ, Giannis, Pat, Chris, I guess specifically that group?
Yeah, I think, there's things that happen in the playoffs, and I do think that group has seen, more minutes and more opportunities together. So I think anytime any group of good players, get reps and get opportunities, the communication, the understanding, the work, and it's like everything else. There's some things where they need to get better. We need to improve, and there's some things that they do well. So, we just got to keep building and drawing on what they do well, work on where they need to improve. We need to improve, and put the best combos out there. And it could be big. Every game's a little bit different. Every series is a little bit different. But it's good to have kind of options.
Drew mentioned the idea that he wants to be a little bit more physical with Trae Young, which is always something you guys are kind of trying to do to keep the pressure up. I find that task easier when it's Kevin Durant and he's 7 feet tall, as opposed to Trae Young when he's a little bit smaller. How do you kind of find that balance of being physical, knowing that he is going to be a little bit smaller, might get bumped off of things a little bit easier?
Yeah, we often talk about how hard some of these guys' jobs are. That's like, and Drew, it's mostly in Drew's hands. There's conversation, but there's just a ton of trust that he's got to walk that line of, being a great defender, using his athleticism, using his strength, and, making an advantage and just doing the best he can, understanding, the differences between the different types of players he guards. But he's been doing it a long time. It's just an instinctual thing that I certainly hope I don't screw up.
In the last series, it was pretty obvious kind of what PJ's role was defensively and how he can make an impact. How do you feel like he can make an impact defensively? I know we talked about offensively, but defensively, how PJ can in this series.
Yeah, no, I think the big thing is not to underestimate their wings. How I think when, they're playing really, really good basketball, the Herders, the Bogdanoviches, the Gallinaris, those guys, Lou Williams, how important they are to them. And, and then I think he may get some turns and some reps on Young, and then we may play him different spots. So I think just again his versatility, the different ways you can go with him, are important in this series.
Yeah. Mike, as much as you're willing to share about it, what are the conversations like with you and your coaching staff when it comes to all the different ways you can trade?
Yeah, no, it's kind of that fun time of year when you play, great players and from series to series and the different ways that, they kind of test you defensively. I guess as coaches, you're just trying to, see is there something that makes sense for our group, for our players defensively, puts them in their best position to succeed against a player who's very gifted and talented. And it's kind of the playoff ritual, trying to figure out, how to guard the great players. And it's part of, I'm sure, what's great for the fans. And I guess in some strange way, it's great for the coaches. It's just a great challenge. It's a lot of work and time goes into it.
Last two for Eric on Zoom.
Charles Gardner, go ahead.
There I am. Sorry. Had to get unmuted. Coach, what about Brooke? I know he only played 20 minutes the other night. I'm sure that may change in future games in this series. What do you see his role, and is it more challenging with this team because of their personnel?
We feel like Brooke can be a huge positive. I think him being on the court is usually when we're at our best. And, so I think we got to be a little bit better. I think, hopefully around him, we can be better. Brooke is, such a high character guy, such a competitor, such a great teammate. I think he will be there for us and he'll be good for us tonight.
Last one to Kane Pittman.
Hey, Bud, it's been a little while, mate, and I feel a little bit selfish asking you this question, but I have to ask about Australia and Chase Buford. He was announced as the Sydney Kings head coach last night. I know it's been a little bit of a weird situation with the G League since he signed on, but you've worked closely with him. Why does the franchise like him? Why do you like him? What have you learned from him in the last couple of years?
He's a great coach, so I think, the 1 year of normalcy, the 1 year when the G League was kind of what we know it to be, the team was phenomenal. The players were phenomenal. Chase was phenomenal. He crushed it. I think he really opened a lot of eyes, I guess, including in Australia, all around the world. So, and in meetings and practices with our players, our player development, he's just a bright young mind, got great energy, great ability to connect with the players. He's just a basketball coach. I'm very, very excited for him. Excited for the Sydney Kings. A lot of respect for Australian basketball. A lot of friends and history there. So it's pretty exciting for Chase, and it's part of our business. It's part of something the Bucks organization try and grow and develop. And when guys move on, you're excited for their futures. Thanks.